Hello, so welcome to the gorgeous, gorgeous Stacey, and welcome to anybody that's watching live and also anybody that's watching on catch up. I am thrilled to have you here, Stacey.
Oh,
I
thank
cannot
you.
thank you enough for sharing your experiences.
No, you're
So
more than welcome.
I'm going to do a little bit of an intro. So, Stacey, to me, there are a couple of things I really, really remember about you. One, you are the absolute poster girl for this this type of work. And two, your fabulous hair.
Oh, the hair that got all the comments. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it just looks amazing. Every time I see you, it looks incredible. And for somebody
Thank
who's
you.
got kind of short, wispy hair like mine, it's
Oh,
like you're like this dreamboat with this hair.
well,
But we're
thank
not
you.
here to talk about your hair, Stacey, as much as beautiful as it is. Just to
Thank you.
hear about your kind of experience of doing this type of work as opposed to and I hope you don't mind me saying this, and I'm not going to give your age away, but the decades of being on
Yeah.
that binge restrict, slimming club type life.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just on this program, when we did start to work on the mind, you just flew and got the most incredible results, really
Absolutely.
early on. So, but if we could just go back to kind of when did that everything your food issue start, do you think?
Well, I always thought it was when I was 10, but having gone through the program and doing the hypnosis, I think it was probably 5. Because something that come up in the hypnosis, and I would have been 5, and I'd never ever, it had never occurred to me, it had never crossed my mind that it was so long ago. And I always thought that it came down to when I was 10, a particular time in my life that wasn't brilliant. So it was, 5, I would say. So that's 51 years ago. That's terrifying, isn't it? But it is and it isn't, because it's terrifying because it's taken that long to find that it wasn't me that was the issue. And now, knowing what I know now, that it isn't me and there was nothing wrong with me. And so although I feel I've missed out on a lot, I also feel that actually I'm glad that I've started this when I started back in February. So I've got a lot of catching up to do, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so we're kind of 7 months down the line now, and the changes are still, you're still going strong, and we'll come to
Yeah.
that in a minute. But yeah, like you said, like 51 years of living in that. How would you describe that sort of living your life controlled by food? How would you?
Horrendous.
Yeah.
Horrendous. I thought it was something wrong with me. I thought, because I'd got to, like you always say, and right from the start, it isn't about the food. And I'd come to that conclusion on my own, that it isn't the food, it was me. So what was wrong with me? And then obviously, since going through this, realizing, well, no, it wasn't me. There is nothing wrong with me. And I'm not the only one, because that's the other thing as well. Although you see people that are a similar shape and size to you, and probably think, well, they've obviously got issues, but not knowing what the core of my issue was. So you can't really understand what people are going through, which then makes you think, well, you must be the only one.
It can be
But
very
clearly I'm not.
isolating.
No.
Yeah.
And having, met the ladies on the weekly meetings, we're all very similar. We're all, we've all got this, we all have the similar hang-ups, if you like, and thinking that there's something wrong with you, but actually there isn't.
And it's a real painful place to be in, actually, isn't
It's
it?
very lonely, very isolating, absolutely.
And what do you think how do you think that impacted on the kind of the whole of your life, actually, work, relationships, those kind of things?
I think work-wise, I stayed in a job for 15 years, and although I was happy for a fair few number of those years, probably the last 5 I wasn't. But because I felt that, what else am I going to do? Who's going to want to employ me? I'd got to 50 at this stage and thought, well, who's going to want to employ a 50-year-old? What skill set have I got? Okay, yeah, I'm pretty good at admin, but that's all I'm good at, really. But
Wow.
then I just felt that actually I'm going to put myself out there. I got to 50 and I thought, right, I'm going to create, because at 50, having been employed for the last 15 years, I didn't even have a CV, and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to get a CV put together and just put it out there. And I got a job straight away because obviously the skill set that I'd had, even though I felt, who's going to want me? Who's going to want to employ a 50-year-old woman that, is quite particular about when she works and the timing she works. But actually, I got a job straight away. First job that I went for an interview for, and I got it. So,
well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it comes down to belief. Our belief system, it impacts kind of everything. Everything that we think and feel has a huge impact on our actions. So now you started to kind of reframe all of that. Things change, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the if you start believing in yourself, and stop the negative thoughts that go through your mind, if you can capture them, it does makes life easier for you. But it also, if you can capture the negativity that goes on, the constant stream that is there, because it is constant, it is from morning till night. If you can capture that and then reframe that into something that is positive, you don't then have these feelings of I'm not good enough and who wants me, and have I done this wrong, have I done that wrong. It's almost like capturing it and stopping it in its tracks, which is really, for me, is really helpful.
And actually, when we did that work, you were the queen of the reframe, Stacey. It's like a duck to water.
Yeah,
it really
I know.
was.
And who'd have thought it? I know. I just really got this. I just really got it straight away. And obviously, all the years of soul searching, thinking that the Slimming Club or the Weight Watchers, the keto, the Lighter Life, and all of these were the answer. When deep down, I knew that, although, like I said, I thought there was something wrong with me, I knew that wasn't the answer, but that was all I had available at the time.
Yeah.
And in desperation.
Absolutely. It's what we're taught, actually. We're given that conditioning that diets are the way to go, slimming clubs are the way to go. But they don't get to the root, and B, they don't change that terrible relationship that we have with ourselves, which leads to more food intake. That chaos in the mind equals chaotic eating. And
yeah, absolutely. And I used to wake up in the morning full of dread because I'd maybe had to binge the night before. I'd go to sleep hating myself, then wake up hating myself, thinking, oh God, you're so stupid. What's wrong with you? Like I said, I thought it was something wrong with me. And then hating myself. And so if you start off the day before you've even put a foot on the floor, hating yourself, it ain't going to get no better, is it?
No, and it's sorry, go on.
At the time, I didn't know any different.
Yeah, and we're very unaware of what goes on actually in our minds. But the whole time we treat ourselves like that. It's unsurprising actually that we go to food to feel better. If we don't know how to cope with our emotions, we will go to food to feel better. If we've got past trauma that, like you're saying, from 5 years old, that's kind of locked and tucked away, we're going to use food to feel better. And no amount of dieting diets out that thought process.
No, and no, it doesn't. Diets don't help with your mind, your mental state at all, do they? And actually, I should imagine now, knowing that, they make it worse because you're depriving yourself. So
yeah, and they screw up your metabolism and all the rest of it. I mean, I could talk about that for hours, but I think we can both safely say diets do not work. They are not the answer. And actually, talking about things that aren't the answer, one of the big things in the news at the minute is that Ozempic, the weight loss injections. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this, and I've had people ask me about it. Now, if you hadn't done this program, do you think that's something you might have considered?
Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely. And what are your thoughts? What would your thoughts would have been back then compared to what you think now?
I would, I mean, then I would have thought, well, because obviously it's all over media and social media. And actually, I've been following a lady's journey on it just out of interest, not
Yeah.
because I think it's the answer for me. And I've just sort of watched her. And first of all, I don't think it's good to put in your body. When you listen to the side effects that these ladies are having, some of them are horrendous. But yes, I would have gone down that route. I know I would have for sure, because it's something that is saying to you in the back of your mind that yeah, this is for you. Because if you do this, you're going to lose weight. And therefore you're going to feel great, because that's ultimately what you need. That's all you need, isn't it? You know, that's what my mind would tell me, is that's all I want, is to lose weight. So therefore, if I have this, if somebody, it's a magic pill, isn't it? If somebody could give you a magic pill, I remember in my 30s taking speed, and there was a chap that used to dispense it once a week. We used to go, all these ladies would queue up. I mean, hundreds of women would queue up weekly for him. We'd give him our £15 and he'd dispense the speed. You know, and so yeah, I definitely would have done it.
Stop the cravings.
Yeah.
I mean, the things we've all done actually in that quest to kind of get rid of the weight, but those things, not only are they damaging, but again, they don't actually sort out the thought process.
No, they don't address the core issue of whatever it is that has made you turn to food initially.
And yeah, you can take speed for a certain amount of time, but at some point you've got to come off it, and then all of those overwhelming thoughts about food come back again.
Yeah.
Same with the Ozempic. Yeah, you will lose weight for sure, but actually at some point you are going to be craving the sweets, the cakes, the chocolate.
Definitely.
You're going to look in the mirror and still despise what you see.
The diet will start Monday. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just it's just a horrible place, and we don't know what the long-term effects are of those things either, which is another scary factor.
No. And is this the one that they give to people with diabetes as well? Because they're now saying that there could lead to a shortage of people that actually need it for the reason it was created, which is a worrying thought, because then that will send it sort of under the radar, won't it? And it will become something that possibly people will try and get by hook or crook.
The black market, and then there'll be things that aren't quite Ozempic, and but actually we do that, I think, out of desperation. I mean, I took some slimming tablets years ago on the internet, where the internet was very new, so it was less kind of known what you were taking then. And I just remember my period stopped for a year, and I still carried on because I'm like, this is the answer.
Fantastic.
We do it out of desperation, right? Because we don't know any better.
No, and that is it. You've just said that we don't know any better, and until you do know better, you're prepared to take whatever course of action you think is going to work.
So what kind of, you said until you do know better, what was it then that spurred you to book that call with me, do you think?
Well, obviously, I was always on the quest to find something that was the thing. And I see an Instagram post, literally, of yours. And I've always been somebody that feels that we should champion women. And I just thought, oh, that's really lovely. This lady's saying I've helped all these people. Wow, that's amazing. Not even really knowing initially what you'd help them with. And so I just sort of started to look into who you were, and I thought, well, I don't know. And I'd spoken to a lady. I'd found something, obviously, also on Instagram, and an American lady. And I'd had a conversation with her, and I just, I sort of thought, I don't know, is this the answer? I'm not sure. And then obviously seen your post. So I sort of had some idea of what you was about. And then so then I just thought, well, I've got nothing to lose. I've had the call with the lady in America, And although I thought, I was tempted, I wasn't sure. And then obviously having spoken to yourself, and just felt, I because I was coming from the same place as you, knowing it's not food. So therefore, well, you must have something. If you're saying the same as me, there must be something in this that is going to strike a chord or help me in some way. And then obviously having spoken to you, thought, I've got to give it a try. But obviously I was a bit hesitant because obviously the initial cost. And I thought, well, I don't know. Because at the time I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worth the investment. And if it goes wrong again, it's another waste of money when I've spent X amount of pounds trying to lose weight previously and it never worked. But then having discussed things with you, felt that I really did needed to give it a try. And then therefore I then discussed it with my husband and said to him, I'd found you, and he said, but I said, the only thing is, I said, I'm concerned is that, the initial outlay is quite a lot. What if it doesn't work? And he said, but what if it does? And I was like, I know. And if it does work, then, I'd pay it 10 times over. But if it doesn't work, I'm just going to feel even worse. I'm going to be back to square one, but actually I'll be worse than square one because we've made this big commitment financially, and I'm still stuck in the same place. But so it was him really that had said to me, if it's going to make you happy, then we do it. So yeah.
Oh, what a great husband. I've said this to you already. I'm like, you've got the best husband ever. And he must have seen a difference in you as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got two daughters. One was away she's literally come back yesterday. She was away for the from February, so she didn't know. Well, I think she knew that I'd gone through something. But my husband and my daughter said initially, straight off the bat, that I was different. And I said, "What do you mean you're different?" Well, you are. You're just different. And I was like, "Well, why?" And they was like, "Well, I don't know, really. You're just different. You seem happier." And I said, "Well, I am. That's because I am." And I think, like, when you're really, really desperately unhappy, you think that you're putting quite a good face on it. But actually, I think the people that live with you know that you're not. And my daughter was actually shocked. And she said to me, although I obviously she knows that I've struggled with my weight, but she said to me, it makes me unhappy that you've been so desperately unhappy for so long. And I said, but that's changed now. So, you don't need to worry or think of me as being unhappy because that has changed. So, yeah, I think it does make a big difference to the people that you live with.
Yeah, totally and utterly. It has a big knock-on effect. Were you surprised at how quickly you saw results? Because you just, come on, Stacey, from day one, it was almost like...
Yeah,
you are the poster girl for this. You really are.
Yeah, I was totally surprised. And although for me now, if I talk about the weight loss, although I have lost a considerable amount of weight, I don't know how much. I do feel it has been a slow process, but I'm happy that it's a slow process because I would rather it be slow and lasting, because I'm not on a diet. I do eat what I want, and if I do have a day where I think, oh, maybe I've ate too much, that's fine. I don't then think, oh God, you've blown it, you've done this, you're useless. It is like, okay, well, you've eaten that, just forget about it and move on. So in the back of my mind, I in the past I probably would have gone down the route of, oh, you failed, you're useless, and therefore add 3 weeks of eating everything that's in the house.
Yeah.
Whereas now I don't. I eat, and then I think if I'm uncomfortable, I think, oh God, I've overeaten. But that is it. Oh God, I've overeaten because I feel uncomfortable. So, and that was really from the get-go. So yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with food before this, and how would you describe it now?
Well, I was thinking about that, and the title of your course is Food Freedom, and actually that is what it is. It is food freedom, because I don't give a second thought. I mean, it was my birthday last week, and I've got chocolates that are sat up here in a bag, untouched. Whereas previously, I'd have thought, oh, I've got chocolates up there. I really shouldn't be eating them. But then they'd be like, oh, you really want to eat me? And my husband said, them chocolates that you got for your birthday, I was, yeah. He went, are you hiding them from me? I was, no. I said, they're upstairs. I said, and I've not even given them another thought. So yeah,
Freedom.
I choose what I want to eat. I eat what I want, and I'm satisfied, and I don't feel the need to eat past a fullness most of the time.
Yeah, and there's no deprivation either. It's like,
no. And I found that it's really odd, because I think something that you said very early on when we was talking on one of the weekly calls about, I can't remember how the conversation started, but it was you, and I think you said, well, what you'll realise in time is that you don't want to eat certain foods. And I was like, I can't see how that's going to happen, because even though I'd got it from the word go, I was still eating, everything. Like, I would reach for a bag of crisps, I would reach for something, and I thought, I can't see how that's going to happen. But actually it is, because I very rarely eat crisps. And I think you do change in what it is you want. And although it's not about food, because it isn't about food, I think I've changed my taste, I suppose. I don't know if it's taste or if it's just the fact that those like really greasy crisps and things like that are not something that are attractive any longer.
I think it's your body now making the decisions rather than your mind.
Yeah. Yes, that's it then. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's before it was your mind that was running the show.
Yeah.
It was telling you how awful you are, how terrible you are, craving all that stuff.
Definitely.
But
Then
now
that's right. Yeah.
learn how to manage your mind.
Yeah.
It's now your body has taken over and is making those decisions.
Yeah. No, it's definitely changing. So it's all good.
I mean, it's just, your story is just so it's so great for other people to hear, people who've been on that journey since, I mean, you thought it started at 10, so let's just go with 10. That's like 44 decades, at least 4 decades. And people kind of out there who think, I'm here, it's easy for her. What would be your kind of advice to them?
I was you. I've been you. And to a degree, I still am you. But the fact that I've done what I've done with you, Emily, just has made so much difference. It is life affirming. Sounds really deep and but actually it is. Because I do feel I have a worth. I do feel that blessed to have found you on Instagram, because I would still be searching, and like we said at the start of this, that I would have been searching, and I probably would have gone down the injection route. I would have probably I've toyed with going and having gastric sleeve surgery, although even that's you're still not addressing what's going on in here, so therefore that people go past, they eat past their bans and end up in all sorts of problems. But
it's amazing what we're prepared to do, though, because we don't really know how else to do it.
No,
I
you
think
don't.
that's the sad thing, is that most regimes don't tackle the core issues.
No.
And they're just almost, it's like a sticking plaster over an open wound. But because we're in so much pain, it does become a consideration. I mean, I certainly considered gastric band surgery at some point.
Absolutely, yeah. Because, and also, I think because media and the people that are selling these products tell you that it's the be all and end all, you kind of get sucked in. Into believing that everything's going to be fine. And that's the other thing, is that, like, even if tomorrow I woke up and I was 6 stone, 8 stone, whatever, just plucking a figure, it wouldn't change anything else in my life.
No.
It wouldn't change me as a person. Visually, yes, but that is just what is going on the outside, is just something that is reflected from the inside out, as it were.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. People think, oh, if I get rid of the weight, I'm going to be happy.
Everything's going to be perfect.
Yeah, my life is going to be wonderful.
No.
But it's completely untrue, actually, isn't it?
Because if you've got stress elsewhere in your life, you might blame it on being fat and overweight and all of that. Well, actually, that is not because of that. Well, that's still going to be there, whether if you have a gastric sleeve and lose 6 stone, then problems are still going to be there. And if they have been created by the way you feel, they're still going to be there, because you're going to still feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything comes from within, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've got to change within in order to change everything around us. And then that's when the magic happens, when we change within.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
And it was an easy-ish process, wasn't it? Far easier than dieting, let's face it.
Yeah, because definitely, because I was nervous at the start because, like you say, you've got to be prepared to put in the work. And I was thinking, God, how difficult is this going to be? What is this woman going to make me do? But actually, the videos are, are sort of fairly straightforward and easy to follow. And also the fact that I don't think you were ever somebody, or is somebody, that would ever sort of really hold people accountable for what they see as their failings, or what they've, I've never felt that if I was on a Wednesday meeting or going to have a face-to-face Zoom with you, that if I'd not done something, I'd failed in any way. So, because I think it is about guidance, and also, yes, I put in the work because it's what I needed to do. And I think that you are at such a position in life that you're prepared to do anything anyway. If you're prepared to put yourself under the surgeon's knife or take injections, a little bit of work on yourself, actually, it's worth it. It's not that difficult, and it is worth it.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah, it's worth it a billion times over. So one big question I think people will probably be asking, so 7 months down the line, everything's still going great. How do you know that this is for the long term?
Because I mean, doing your course has sort of piqued my interest into lots of other things, in why we do what we do, why we think like we think. So I'm all constantly now on a quest to read, listen to, other people's, like, what gurus, if you want to call them that, what they say. And I think that as long as I can, I mean, I do now do like a little morning routine, very simple, just sit on the edge of my bed before I you know, face the day, as it were, and I just sit for 10 minutes. I just sort of do a little check-in with myself, think about all my body parts, and do some breathing, and then just have a little mantra that I say to myself. And it's nothing like fanciful, or it's just a little thing that I say to myself, and it just helps to reaffirm that I've done this. And it just, I don't know, it just helps. I think it just makes me calmer. And it just helps to face whatever comes that day, I suppose.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Yeah, great. You know, when we can get into that mindset and start the day off
Yeah.
that way, then everything else just follows. And
Yeah. Instead of hating myself before I've put a foot on the carpet, you know, before I get out of bed, which is how it used to be.
Yeah, and then self-medicating with food and all the
Yeah.
rest of it.
Yeah.
So if you could sum up this all in like a sentence, a few words, or what would you say, Stacey?
It's just been life changing, and it really is amazing. And if you think that, you know, if you're in two minds to do this, I would definitely, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Oh, what lovely words. Yeah, and it's just been such a, I mean, like I said, you're a poster girl, Stacey. It's been brilliant, brilliant to work with you.
You
It's just
too.
been so easy.
You too. You too.
One really, really important question before we end it. Thank you, Stacey, for your time.
You're welcome.
But a very important question. Any tips on hair, Stacey?
No, no, sorry. I'm looking at myself and I just think, oh my God, what on earth's going on there? But
Every Wednesday, everyone was like, "Oh, Stacey, your hair, your hair."
No. Well, I'm a Leo, so what more can I say?
Well, the mane, yeah, absolutely, the mane.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just fabulous, and it's as fabulous as you are, Stacey.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Kind of you
much.
to say so.
And it's really, really kind of you to share your personal experience.
You're welcome.
I really hope it helps. Well,
oh God, yeah,
it will help people. Actually,
if it
not that
somebody,
I hope it will
then
help.
it's definitely worth the time. Yeah. So, any time that, you know, I can have a chat with you, and if it just helps anybody, one person, to feel better, then it's worth it. Definitely.
Brilliant. Thank you, Stacey. And
You're
on that
welcome.
note, I'll say goodbye.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye bye.